What's up guys, and in today's video we are going to be installing Virtualbox and creating a Windows 10 and Kali Linux virtual machine that will run on their own isolated network. This will make for any hacker's perfect testing environment. Now without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, let's get along with the install now. Simply open your web browser and either go to the link in the description or search for Virtualbox. It should be www.virtualbox.org. Once you're on the page, simply press Download Virtualbox or use the navigation tabs to the side. Now, when in the Download tab, simply click on whatever host you will be using when installing this program. Either they have multiple Linux distributions you can add it to, or if you're using Mac, click on this one, and of course since I'm using Windows, I'm going to click on the Windows hosts. Once you have downloaded the Virtualbox program, simply double click it and run. The setup wizard should pop up like this. Just press Next, being sure to adjust settings and save locations if you need to. Now that you have actually downloaded and installed the program, let's get along with creating your first virtual machine. Now before we can actually create any sort of virtual machine, we're going to need to have a ISO image or an actual Virtualbox OS image to actually create one. So let's download that now. So let's start by downloading Kali as a virtual machine. Simply search Kali Linux or use the link in the description. Once you're on the page, you should go up to the Downloads tab, come all the way down to the bottom, and you should see Kali Linux for Virtualbox. Just click on this page right here. Come down to the bottom again, click on this Central tab. Now, select whatever architecture fits your operating system. In my case, it's Kali Linux 64-bit. Now locate wherever you saved your Kali Linux image file and just double click it. Virtualbox will open up and all you have to do is press import. Alright, so once you have properly imported the Kali Linux image, you're going to have to come to settings before you start anything. Here you can select a name for it, so we can just shorten this to something like Kali Linux. Come into system, and usually the defaults will be the best option for your system, but if you want, you can mess around with how much RAM you're allocating, and if you actually come to processor. What you have to keep in mind is that you should not go over half of the system resources into your virtual machine, because if you do, the host will become unstable and you'll get lag. Now most of these settings you can tweak yourself. Some of them may be important to you due to what you're doing, if you're adding extra storage, things like that. But we're actually going to come down to network here, and we're going to change this to NAT network. And now, as you can see, I have NAT network here. To create that, what you're going to do is you're going to come up to File, and you're going to go Preferences, Network, and you should, if you don't have the NAT network option, you should just easily be able to add it right here. Now that we have our virtual machine properly configured to what we're doing, let's press the start. A window like this should pop up, and if you've never used Kali Linux, that's okay. Just let this load by itself. Now here you'll be prompted to enter in a username and a password, and that is a default for every system, and it is just root and TOOR, as in root backwards. Now once you've signed in, this is Kali Linux. It works just as good as installing it on a laptop, except now you have the functionality of not having to bring around a separate laptop or dual booting on your other laptop. Now to install a Windows virtual machine to do all your testing from Kali on, simply go to the link in the description or search something like this up. You're looking for this Microsoft page right here. It's a development environment on Windows 10, and we're just going to download the Virtualbox edition. Now once you have downloaded the zipped Virtualbox Windows 10 image, you can come down to here, right click, go to Open With, and Windows Explorer, or if you have something else like WinZip, you can use that, but I'm going to use Windows Explorer. And extract. Once you have extracted the zip folder, simply double click on this again, and Virtualbox should open up, offering to import this image. Now the setup process for the Windows 10 machine is very similar. If you want to change the name here, yes, you can, and just come down to Network and be sure to change it to the same NAT network as whatever your Kali Linux virtual machine is running on. Something to be aware of when running two machines at once is how much memory and processor power they are taking up. As you can see, the default is assigned to 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is quite a bit for most systems have less than 6. And make sure that the processors still remains under 1. Since these are logical cores, I'm going to put mine up to 2, so it's technically 1 core. Once you have assigned all the appropriate settings, press Start. I actually just wanted to add a quick note or tip in here, is that something useful practice that you should probably keep doing with all your virtual machines is if you come over here and you click on this and go to Snapshots, you can actually take a snapshot of the current position of whatever virtual machine you have. So I'll just say new install. Spelled that wrong, but whatever. And now if I mess up anything or I do an update and I can't properly use any programs, I can always just restore it to this snapshot. Same with the Windows 10 one. It works with any virtual machine, and I highly recommend doing this before any large updates or installing something that may mess around with the system libraries. Now, I am pretty personally sure that no one will have to sign in on the first time, but as you reuse this and turn the machine off and turn it on again, you will need to log in with a password. And so if you want to just take a picture of the password right here, you can, and put it in your password manager. If you can remember, that's fine too. But as you can see, this is a fully functioning Windows 10 machine, except it's a virtual machine. Something to note with your virtual machine is if you go to the View tab and switch to Scaled mode, your virtual machine will fit whatever size you push it to. So now I will give you guys a quick example of how the NAT network works and how to see if yours is actually working. But before we get started with that, whenever you get a new virtual machine, you should always run the command apt-get update. This will just make sure that all the packages are properly installed and that you won't have any problems when you're trying to install other programs. But once you have that there, I'm going to actually use something called Nmap. Now this is a network scanner, and we should be able to see everything that's on the NAT network that we've created. So if you are not familiar with the terminal and using programs in it, what we're going to do is we're going to type Nmap and -H to bring up the help menu. Now the help menu is good because we can just see what we're going to use for a very basic attack. So let's type into Nmap, starting with Nmap, the program's name. We're going to go -SN, which is a basic ping scan, and for the next command you're actually going to have to find out what the default gateway is. So whatever yours, so I'm 10.0.2.15, so that means my gateway is going to be n.0.2.1, and we're going to scan the whole network, so we're going to do over 24 and enter. Now what this is doing is this is scanning all the ports on this subnet, and it should come up with any devices on our NAT network if we're lucky. If we come over here and we open up command prompt and type ipconfig, we can see the private address ends in 4. On here we know it ends in 15, and as you can see this one ends in 4 and ours ends in 15. So we know that the NAT network is working and no devices are leaking in from the outside. Thanks to all you who watched to the end. We will soon be creating many more videos using this test hacking environment, so stay tuned. This is LucidHackSecurity Tutorials. Thanks for watching.